James had always imagined the moment he would hold his child for the first time. He pictured the soft cooing, the tiny fingers curling around his own, and the sound of laughter filling the room. When his wife, Emma, went into labor, he stayed at her side, squeezing her hand, whispering encouragement. Yet, when their son, Liam, arrived, the first moments were not what James had envisioned. Doctors carried the newborn back and forth, whispering in low tones. James strained to hear, catching only fragments. He's healthy. Maybe. Hearing test. Results. Emma looked exhausted but hopeful, resting her head against his chest. Then came the words no parent wants to hear. Your son. He is profoundly deaf. Time seemed to stop. James felt his chest tighten as if the world itself had shifted. He looked down at Liam, tiny, fragile, innocent, and wondered how life could feel so bright and so heavy at the same time. He wanted to scream, cry, beg someone to take it back, but all that emerged were tears, silently tracing down his face. Emma, equally shaken, held him tightly, and together they sat in the sterile hospital room, feeling the weight of this unexpected reality. For weeks, James struggled with denial. He refused to talk about it with anyone, avoided research, and lingered in moments of quiet despair. He imagined the milestones Liam would never reach the way he had hoped. His first words, laughter, the simple exchange of I love you in spoken language. Nights were the hardest. Liam would stir, trying to make a sound that didn't come, and James felt helpless, unable to bridge the silence. Yet, even in this darkness, James noticed the little things, the way Liam's eyes followed movement, how he reached for familiar hands, how his tiny fingers twitched at the touch of music, even if he couldn't hear it. He realized that connection was not only through sound. There were other ways to love, other ways to communicate. Slowly, the flicker of hope ignited in him, fragile but undeniable. He made a quiet promise to his son, no matter the challenges. He would find a way to make him feel seen, loved, and understood. The next months were a blur of therapy sessions, sign language classes, and late nights poring over books and videos. James and Emma immersed themselves in this new world, learning to communicate with Liam in ways they had never imagined. At first, frustration was constant. Liam would cry in confusion, James would misinterpret signs, and Emma would get overwhelmed. Yet, slowly, patience began to blossom. James often remembered the day he realized that connection did not always need words. Liam, barely 6 months old, babbled silently, moving his lips and hands. James knelt in front of him, mirroring the gestures. In a small, miraculous moment, Liam reached out, touched James' hand, and smiled. It was not a spoken smile, not a laugh in the air, but it was unmistakable. Love, recognition, understanding. Therapists introduced them to cochlear implants, hearing aids, and ways to enrich Liam's sensory experiences. James was skeptical at first, afraid of more disappointment, but gradually, he began to embrace every tool that could give Liam a voice in the world. Days were long, full of struggles and small victories. Every new sign learned, every look of comprehension, was a triumph. In the evenings, James would sit with Liam on the floor, lights dim, hands tracing shapes in the air, telling stories without a single sound. Liam's eyes sparkled with curiosity, and James found himself laughing along with him, his heart swelling. For the first time, the silence felt less like a barrier, and more like a canvas on which they could paint their own language, their own rhythm of love. Then came the first word, spoken, fragile, almost invisible. Dear. Liam looked at James, wide-eyed, waiting for acknowledgement. James' throat tightened with emotion, and he gently held Liam's tiny face. Yes, Daddy, he whispered, tears rolling down his cheeks. In that single moment, every fear, every doubt, every sleepless night was worth it. Liam had found a way to speak, and James had learned to truly listen. One crisp autumn morning, James took Liam to the park. The trees were aflame with color, leaves swirling around them like tiny golden flames. Liam, now 3, toddled along, hands outstretched, marveling at everything. James smiled, taking in the miracle of the boy who had once seemed trapped in silence but now filled his world with wonder. At the playground, Liam noticed a small dog approaching, barking loudly. For the first time, James braced for fear or retreat. Instead, Liam's face lit up. He ran toward the dog, arms waving, laughing in his own silent way. Then something remarkable happened. The dog barked again, closer this time. And Liam instinctively held his hand to the implant behind his ear. He heard it. Not just vibrations or vibrations interpreted, but the sound, clear, real, unmistakable. His eyes widened, and he laughed, this time with sound. A musical little burst of joy. James knelt, overcome with emotion, watching his son experience the world in ways he had never dreamed possible. He thought of the dark days, the hospital room, the despair, and now, this explosion of wonder and life. Liam's laughter echoed through the park, mingling with the crisp wind and the rustling leaves. Passers-by glanced over, seeing the pure joy of a child and the uncontainable pride of a father. And they couldn't help but smile. James realized that life had not failed them, it had challenged them. And in rising to meet that challenge, they had discovered a love stronger than any words, any sound, any expectation. Liam's deafness was not a limitation but a unique way to experience the world, a gift that taught them patience, empathy, and resilience. As they walked home, leaves crunching beneath their feet, James held Liam close. He whispered stories of the day, of the colors and sounds, and of the little dog that had taught him that miracles could happen in the smallest, most unexpected moments. Liam, smiling, leaned into his father, understanding in his own way, love is the language that always carries meaning. Years passed. Liam grew into a bright, confident child, fluent in both sign language and spoken words. He loved music, often feeling the vibrations in his chest and dancing with abandon. He excelled in school, making friends who admired him not for what he couldn't hear, but for who he was, kind, curious, and endlessly imaginative. James, now watching his son navigate the world with independence, felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He remembered the first days, the despair, the quiet tears, the sleepless nights, and realized that every struggle had led them here. The silence they had feared had become a bridge, teaching them that love does not always need to be spoken to be understood. On Liam's 8th birthday, James surprised him with a music lesson. The instructor, specialized in teaching children with hearing impairments, helped Liam feel the rhythm and melody through vibrations. As the first notes resonated, Liam's face shone with pure delight. "I can feel it, Daddy. I can really feel it," he exclaimed, eyes wide. James laughed, scooping him into a tight hug. "You always could, son. You always could." That night, as Liam fell asleep, James watched him from the doorway. He realized that in learning to communicate without sound, he had discovered a new depth of connection with his son, one that would last a lifetime. He had seen the miracle of love transcending limitations, the joy of small victories, and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. James knew, without doubt, that life had given them exactly what they needed. The world had been silent at first, but together, they had created a language of love that could never be broken. And as Liam drifted into sleep, dreaming in ways James could only imagine, he whispered a promise. No matter what, he would always be there, listening, understanding, and loving with every fiber of his being. And in that quiet, beautiful bond, James found a happiness deeper than any sound, richer than any word, the true melody of a father and his son.